Oh, One Piece unboxing and Tickle Me Elmo story. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and as the title and the description of the video you clicked on would insinuate, I am here to open some shit up. So that's obviously what this is about, and then of course I have I think a funny story to tell afterwards, and maybe you will too, I don't know. So, without further ado, we all know the rundown here. It's a nice box, I wonder what it could be. Jimmy, what did you buy now? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. I get all excited about this stuff whenever I get stuff now. I mean, it's not like I don't know what's coming. I mean, I know what I order and stuff like that. But a lot of times you'll order something and maybe it's like a couple weeks out. It's on back order. Other times it comes in right away, you know. So we have ourselves here. And I just barely glanced at the covers. We have One Piece. That would be, chapter 38. Let's make sure we can get that in there so there's no glare on it there, don't you know? That would be volume 30. I think I said chapter 38. Chapter 38. That was a long time ago. And I still have a long way to go, so. All right, then. And there is volume 39. All right. So we've got that one. Oh, yeah, they've got that new crisp smell to them. Yes, they do. Oh, boy. And here is volume 40. Oh, that is so cool. You know, it's a neat feeling that I get with this stuff. I know it sounds goofy, but just being kind of like an old school collector type guy. I mean, you have to remember that at my age when I grew up, you know, you didn't have like online scans of things. If you wanted a comic book or to read something, you had to go to a store and buy it. And now, I mean, it's the digital age and it's like instant gratification. Like you're pissed if you send a text across the world that doesn't go through immediately. But, you know, I grew up in a time where, you know, you would, when you had to go to the store and pick something up, you know, you'd get it and you were all happy about it because you had it, you know, it was a tangible thing that you could, you know, look and smell and hold and touch and feel, you know. But, anyway, that, we'll get into a story about how I'm fucking old later on at some other time. But there it is, 38, 39, and 40. I still try to get a few here and there. Mainly it's just that I'm on a couple different sites and I kind of have things set up like in a wish list type deal format. So a lot of times I will get a email if there's like a sale on something or whatever the case may be. And then I'll be able to pick something up for, you know, a good price. That's usually the goal. So the story that I had to tell today, and I always kind of think about these now because I get a little self-conscious and I think like, geez, am I entertaining? Am I funny? I mean, obviously there's people watching, but I mean, I don't really know if this is something that would be good to share. So you're always second guessing yourself. At least I am anyway. I'm not some kind of professional entertainer that grew up in the limelight and the spotlight. And, you know, I'm not like Miley Cyrus, you know what I mean? She goes and frickin', you know, she farts and then it's news, you know. That's not like that with me. So, and I'm a little more modest and humble too. So, the story, though, is that a lot of you know from my previous stories, I used to work as an assistant manager and then eventually a manager on the overnight graveyard shift crew at Toys R Us. Now, that was fun, and it, of course, had its pluses and minuses of working overnight, but one of the neat things was that I always had access to difficult or hard-to-get toys, whether they were video game systems or toys or what have you. So I want to say it was back in, and I'd have to Google this to find out what year, but I would want to say between like 94 and 96, something like that, 1994, 1996, there was a product that came out by, I don't know if it was made by Fisher-Price. No, it was made by... whatever. I forget who it was made by, but it was Tickle Me Elmo. Some of you younger viewers may not know what that is. You may have to Google Tickle Me Elmo, but this thing was a huge craze. It was this doll that basically you press the button and it talked and it shook and it like you were tickling it, right? And the funny, goofy Elmo. I can't even do the Elmo voice, but my balls dropped a long time ago, and it's just I have too much depth. I can't get that high up in the registers. But, so anyway, so Tickle Me Elmo is really big at the time, right? I've got 3 younger sisters, and only one of them, though, believe it or not, had any interest in Tickle Me Elmo. I think one of them was a little too old, one of them was a little too young. The one in the middle was just right, and she wanted to Tickle Me Elmo. So we were also very active in our church, and there was a couple of folks. This one very, very nice lady, and I'll just say her name was Ruth, and she was an older grandma lady, and she wanted to know if we could grab one for her, and then I think for like a granddaughter present. And there was also one other person that wanted one maybe that was in my family. It was an aunt, maybe, I forget who, for a child. And it was getting close to Christmas, so it was probably like the first or second week of December, and these things were tough to get. Like, people were literally, they were selling these things on eBay for hundreds of dollars. There was people that would go and stand in front of like Kmart's or Walmart's or whatever, and, you know, that got a hold of a few of these, and they get $200, $300, $400 cash from it. It was like a $30 stuffed animal, right, that talked. So my mom says, you know, hey, can you get me some of these things? You know, can you let me know when some come in? And I said, I don't even know if we're going to get any more before Christmas, but if we get some, I'll put a few aside. So we wind up getting 2 cases in, right, this particular night. And so I come into work for night crew at like 9:30. I wasn't scheduled to start till about, I think, 10 or 11, but I used to always help unload the truck. And I see these 2 cases come in. Now, there's 3 Tickle Me Elmos in each case. So there's 6 available altogether, right? 6. I don't know why I put my thumb up like an idiot. I meant to go like that. But anyway, so there's 6 available of these Tickle Me Elmos. And 3 of them, I'm going to put on the side for my mom. Hey, listen, don't fault me for it. If you knew me, I would have been cool and done stuff like that for you too. But ultimately, those were the few privileges that you got for working there. You didn't even get a discount working at Toys R Us. It was a real shit show. You could cash your paycheck there if you wanted to, but you had to buy something. So I wound up, for like weeks, I started buying a Beanie Baby for one of my little sisters. I'd buy one for each one of them every week. And I did that for like 30-something weeks because I love Beanie Babies. And then eventually I'd bought all the damn Beanie Babies. But I'm getting off track. So my mom wants 3 of these things. So I go and put 3 on the side, right? And I call up my mom. It's like 9 or 9:30, like I said, maybe on like a Thursday night. And I'm like, listen, Ma, and I lived about 2 miles away. I still lived with my parents at the time. And it's December in Chicago. There's snow outside and everything. The weather outside is frightful. So I call her up and I say, listen, I got these 3 Tickle Me Elmos. Come on in and scoop them up. And she's like, well, can't you just get them? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, these things are big time on lockdown. Like, I can get you some of them, but like, there's no way anybody in the store would even sell me 3 of these things. You know what I mean? Because there's employees, especially, they didn't want to buy them because they figured employees would capitalize on it and then go resell them for more money. So it was like a big no-no, you know, and I didn't want to like jeopardize my career with Toys R Us. So, I don't even know if I should be mentioning it by name, but whatever, who cares? It's just YouTube. So she goes and she comes in, she gets these things, right? And I give them to, she comes and meets me, she got the cart and she meets me by like the back corner, you know, where it goes into the stockroom or whatever. And I go and I hand her 3 Tickle Me Elmos and they're in her cart. And that's really all she's going to get because now, mind you, she had to go and like, she had to get out of her pajamas and actually get dressed. And she had my dad come and bring her over, you know? Now, my dad's like this old school type of guy. He's been through Vietnam. He's been through everything else. And he's just sort of like, he's like a I'll wait in the car type of guy, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're going shopping for an hour. He's like, it's cool. I'll wait in the car, right? And unless you make him come in. So he was just going to wait in the car. The car was already warm. He's going to keep it warm. And we had this big old Dodge conversion van because I was the oldest of 6 kids. So we had to have a big vehicle to fit a lot of fucking kids in. So it's a gray Dodge conversion van. And, they're kind of like minivans, you know, now. I mean, they're everywhere, right? And it's winter time, so everything's gray out. So my dad's waiting in the car where he drops her off out in the parking lot, you know, drops her off right by the door, and he's going to wait, you know, for her. She comes in, she gets him. On her way out, some lady goes and comes up and literally like starts yelling at her and going, how do you have 3 of those? I can't even get one of those. I'll give you $100 for it. And my mom's like, no, I'm sorry, they're not for. She's trying to explain. This lady's cutting her off and starts calling her names. This lady literally grabbed my mom's arm and hair, and there was like just a cat fight that started right like 100 feet away up towards the registers. And now I'm back in the back of the town loading a truck. I have no idea this is going on. And then somebody's like, hey, your mom's getting like, there's some lady attacking her up front. So I get up front, right, and it had already been broken up. There was this other lady, Debbie, which also happens to be my mother's name, but this other lady, Debbie, who was the front-end manager who wasn't going to take that shit, she pulled this broad off of my ma and wound up throwing her ass out of there. She threatened to call the police and everything else. I think she actually did call the police, and that's why the lady, I think, just took off and got out of there. So anyway, so my ma checks out of there, right, and she's all frazzled, man, you know, her hair's all from getting pulled, and she basically just got attacked by a woman for freaking Tickle Me Elmos. So she buys the 3 Tickle Me Elmos, and she thinks, well, you know, okay, it's cold outside, it's snowy and everything like that. My dad's going to have pulled around and be waiting for it. It's later at night, so there's not many cars in the parking lot. I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 still because, you know, it's Christmas time. People are shopping even later. And she goes outside, and she's really just kind of frazzled, not paying attention, and she goes to get into the car, which is pulled right up in front of the Toys R Us, about 10 feet after you walk out. She opens up the door, gets into the van, pulls it in, and she starts talking, right? And about 5 seconds go by, and all of a sudden she looks over, and it's not my dad. She got into somebody else's vehicle, right? And this guy was pulled up waiting for his wife, and he happened to have, it was like a black and gray conversion van. So she gets outside, and I guess she didn't even look. You know, it's dark inside the car. They're just sitting there. It's running, and you just assume that's my husband came to pick me up, and you get in the car. He let her get in the car and everything else, and then she's ranting and raving about this woman that attacked her for Tickle Me Elmos. This guy looks at her, and he's just like, I think you got the wrong car, ma'am, or something like that, right? And then he offers to buy one of the Tickle Me Elmos from her because his wife, I guess, was looking for one too for somebody. So my dad, the whole time, he had went over and he had parked. He used to smoke. He still smokes, unfortunately, but he went over just to park away from the front door there, sit in the car, roll down the window just a little bit, even though it was cold, blast the heat, smoke a cigarette. He was going to look for my mom to come out. He couldn't see, he did see her come out, but he saw that van was there. He just saw her going, not even look in the parking lot, and hop right in. And he just watched it from a distance and just let the whole thing happen, right? You got to hear him tell the story later on because he's just like, oh, Jimmy, I'm telling you, I was just sitting there, I'm smoking a cigarette. I look over, and what do I see but your mother walking out, not paying attention to what she's doing. And she gets in somebody else's car. He goes, and then she's in there for like, and he says it's like a minute or two. He goes, and I'm thinking, what, did she even notice? Is she just going to drive home with this guy? So anyway, the moral of the story, I guess, is I don't know, maybe maybe look before you leap, look before you get into somebody's car. Everything wound up turning out all right, but I think honestly, and my mom's one of those people that I think that would have happened to her regardless of the altercation between her and the woman in the store. But because of the altercation, I think she was like so pumped and so fumed and so mad and wanting to go and tell somebody else about it, And then of course it being later and her not even wanting to have come out to begin with, but you do a lot of, you do go to some amazing lengths for your kids, trust me. I'll do a video on that sometime and you'll truly appreciate what it's like for those of you that don't have kids, for your parents, at least in my case anyway. But I don't want to, I'm going to cut it over here, but I thought that I would share that. It's getting close to, it's the holidays, it's about 6 weeks till Christmas, and which was always a fun time for me and my family, growing up with a lot of kids and stuff like that. It was something we always really loved, and me working at Toys R Us on the night crew through the holidays was always a really cool experience. It was just so neat. I'd be dead dog tired in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock, and my shift would be over, but, so they'd ask me to stay to help redo this end cap or put some up, and seeing all these bright-eyed kids and their parents and stuff like that coming in and just so excited of the magic of Christmas, and the majesty of just the time of year, and, one of the times of year that, at least back then, people were still nice to each other, and so just a really, really cool thing. So I do apologize for getting a little bit long-winded, but I thought that it was a very funny story. And then when you think about it, it's just, like I said, everything that happened. My dad had no idea this commotion went on inside the place and they were going to call police and everything else, because it had all happened so fast. And then a couple minutes later, she was just ready to get going. But can you imagine that, though, just to walk outside and to get into somebody else's car? And I mean, the car's running and there's another person. I mean, thank God the dude was cool and everything. It wasn't like we live in the inner city in a bad part of Chicago, or they were in the suburbs and the outskirts. So, but there's some areas of the country that I'm sure you get into somebody's car, you might not be getting back out. So, thanks a lot for watching, brothers and sisters. As always, feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. If you've watched this long, you're truly a brother or sister of the nation. I really appreciate it. And, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, nation. All I have to say, brothers and sisters, is thank you. Thank you very much. The Nerd Nation for life!